Namaskar. On Conduct Rules, Central Civil Services Conduct Rules 1964, we are coming to the last video on some canvassing and marriage related conditions and vindication of government servants' work. Those 2-3 rules. With that, we will be completing the Conduct Rules. I wanted to make a small number of videos, but somehow it has come up to 12 number of videos. Let us see. Vindication of acts and character of government servant. Suppose when a government servant is doing some work, somebody makes allegation or somebody raises complaint or something. So only through departmentally he can handle. He can't go to court. But if he wants to vindicate his position, of course he has to take prior approval from government, and then he can move the court because it becomes his private problem. So as long as he is part of government and whatever he does as official duty, any question comes, that has to be handled departmentally. So no government servant shall, except with the previous sanction of the government, have recourse to any court or to the press for the vindication of any official act which has been the subject matter of adverse criticism or an attack of for defamatory character. Even if it is defamatory character, you can't go to press, you can't go to the media and say that I have done this and people are questioning. No, you can't go to court, but you can take permission from government and then do that. And no such sanction is received by the government servant within a period of 3 months from the date of receipt of his request by the government, he shall be free to assume that permission as far has been granted to him. Suppose he has done some work and people are making defamatory statements, so he wants to either file a case or he wants to clarify things through media. So he gives an application asking for permission. And there are certain cases people sleep over that. So you don't get reply in 3 months. You can assume that permission is granted and you can go ahead with your this thing. Only thing is you should have record of your submission of application with the date. On completion of 3 months, it is deemed to have been issued. If no denial or permission is granted. If denial, if government does not grant permission, they will give a reason with that you have to keep shut because government is taking care of your issue. That is what it means. But nothing in this rule shall be deemed to prohibit a government servant from vindicating his private character or any act done by him in his private capacity. In house, in the streets, there is some issue, so you have to go to court. Those things are all purely private. This rule is applicable to your official action, which is questioned in the public forum. So you can't go and argue all those things without the permission of government. It is a purely private problem, some neighbors issue, so you want to take them to court and all, that is something different. There is no need for taking prior permission. However, such issues you have to bring to the notice of government, indicating there is this problem, so I have filed a case against the party. This is one. Now, canvassing of non-official or other outside influence. We have seen many people, they will go to the members of parliament or members of legislative assembly or even ministers for transfer of particular employee. It is prohibited under Rule 20. No government servant shall bring or attempt to bring any political or other outside influence to bear upon any superior authority to further his interests in respect of matters pertaining to his service under the government. So he might have asked for transfer. So the authority may not have considered for whatever reason. So he can only go for appeal or go to the higher authorities for seeking transfer. He can't, that is a normal rule. He can't bring political influence, etc. So under rule number 20, action can be taken. It is not only for transfer. Any service matters, anything. If you are aggrieved, there are mechanisms to solve. First, you go to the welfare officer, give your representative, give it to your head of office, give it to the head of department. Then go to the ministry and other things. So there are many ways. If nothing is happening, you can go to court also. But canvassing through political thing will lead to disciplinary action. we have seen in our service many cases, but now in the last leg of my service, we started issuing memo to the people that you are violating Rule 20, something like that. So it is a caution. You can't go and try through. The political pressure should not go to your higher authorities for your service condition, including transfer and other things. Restriction regarding marriage. What is restriction? We have already discussed about marriageable age and all in the initial stage itself. Now here it is having only one spouse. That we'll talk. No government servant shall enter into or contract a marriage with a person having a spouse living. If the spouse is living, then you can't have a new second spouse or something. But if it is divorce, legal divorce, then there is no issue. You can go for second marriage. So when you have a living spouse and no divorce is there, then you can't have second marriage and other thing or contract or whatever it is. No government servant having a spouse living shall enter into a contract for marriage. That we have discussed. Provided, central government may permit a government servant to enter into or contract any such marriage if it is satisfied that such marriage is permissible under the personal law applicable to such government servant and the other party to the marriage. So if there is a personal law which allows second marriage when the first spouse is alive, you have to take prior permission, government will examine and then only permit. Or when the spouse is living, but there are grounds for doing so in such case also. That is because suppose mentally ill, that he cannot have all those, there are many conditions, it's very deep. You have to take prior permission for doing such things and all. So in such case also you can take prior permission and then do. A government servant who has married or marries a person other than of Indian nationality shall forthwith intimate the fact. Suppose it is first marriage, but you do it with foreigner. Normally this happens with people who are working outside India. It can happen people working in India also, but normally, especially foreign service and other things. So those people have to immediately submit a report to the government that I have married so and so, who is of this country's nationality. That we have to. Now, consumption of intoxicating drinks, that is boozing, drugs, it is prohibited in the sense how it is prohibited. A government servant shall strictly abide by the law relating to intoxicating drinks or drugs in force in any area in which he may happen to be for the time being. Wherever he is working, the state government has a prohibition for these drinks and other things, rack and other things. Then he can't have. If there is no restriction, no prohibition, again there is a limitation. You can do it at home and you can't do it in, you can't have it at office. So the government servant shall not be under influence of any intoxicating drink or drug during the course of his duty. What does it mean? He can't drink at the time of his duty time. Not only that, he can't have a hangover. Last night I had a lot of drinks. So now I am suffering from hangover. No, then you are at trouble. Better you take leave and stay at home. You can't go to office. So, and shall also take due care that the performance of his duties at any time is not affected in any way by the influence of such drinks or drug. Assuming that you are having a drinking habit at home in the night, but next day when you are serving in the office, it should have no negative bearing. Then there is no issue. So in the sense, you have to be very careful in such drinking habits and other things. And government servants shall refrain from consuming any intoxicating drinks or drugs in a public place Now, office duty we have discussed. Now, being a government servant, you have to maintain some decorum. So, you can't drink in a public place. You can have it privately and shall not appear in the public place in a state of intoxication, that is, under the influence of uh, rack or liquor. You cannot move around and spoil the name, and shall not use any intoxicating drinks or drugs to excess. That means even if you drink also, there should be a limit. What is limit? That you are able to control yourself. So you have to normally have it at home only. You can't have outside. It will be a problem for you. Public place means any place or premises to which the public have or permitted to have access, whether on payment or otherwise. So in a park, in on a road, and any places where public are allowed. So government servants should be very careful. Now the last rule is prohibition regarding employment of children below 14 years. Now below 14 years it is an offence. It is a criminal offence. So if somebody has housemaid or male or female, whoever it is, but if he is underaged, if the maid is underaged, government servant will be in trouble. No government servant shall employ to work any child below the age of 14 years. Now with this we conclude the discussion of CCS conduct rules. In the coming videos, we will discuss about TADA rules, pay fixation. There are many rules. LTC we have already discussed. All other rules we will see one by one. Thank you.